What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan, and I live in Cambodia with my partner in crime, Sara. We're Southeast Asia's premier travel couple. Okay, well, these two have better numbers than me, and we might not be as sexy as them. But we've been living and traveling around Southeast Asia for over 5 years, and that's pretty sexy too, right?
How is it?
It's so big!
It's cool, isn't it?
What's going on? We've recently returned from a week-long vacation in Indonesia, and today I want to talk about what makes Indonesia such a unique Southeast Asian country, and consequently why a lot of people might avoid going there. It's the fact that it's a Muslim country.
I don't know, Ryan. You sure this is a good idea?
80% of Indonesians are Muslim. One of the only Indonesian islands that's not predominantly Muslim is Bali, which also happens to be the most visited island by foreign tourists. Are people going to Bali because it's not Muslim? Or are people going there because it's a pretty awesome place? It's hard to say, but I am pretty confident in saying that the religion does deter some travelers. When I told some of my friends that I was vacationing in Indonesia,
why the hell would you want to go there?
The number one downside to traveling to a Muslim country has to be no pork. This pretty much settles the video now. We might as well turn it off. Itchy feet, take care, comb your hair. But wait. In my last video, I determined that the lack of pork was not a problem.
Indonesia has proven to me that I do not need pork.
So let's scratch that one off the list. Another reason people might be hesitant to travel to Indonesia, I hate to say this one, is because they don't want to get blown up. Okay, I know this is silly. The fact of the matter is there are more terrorist attacks in Indonesia than most countries in the world. Just looking at their Wikipedia page, list of terrorist incidents in Indonesia, there are 50 incidents listed. The last terrorist attack occurred December of 2022 in Bandung. Hey, we went there. Most of the latest bombings were done by the terrorist group Jemaah Islamiyah. They're an Islamist militant group. They have connections to Al-Qaeda. They're responsible for the Christmas Eve bombings in 2000, the 2003 Marriott Hotel bombing, and the 2002 Bali bombings, which were really bad. 202 people were killed in that one. Since then, the government has been on an anti-terror campaign, and they seem to have cleaned up most of the terrorism in the country. Let's see, since the Bali bombings, there's only been 23 terrorist attacks in Indonesia since 2002. So should this be a concern for travelers? It wasn't for me. I mean, the chances that you're going to be involved in one of these incidents is very, very, very slim, but you will find that Indonesia has beefed up security because of it. There are flies flying around my head. I don't know where these things came from. Metal detectors in public transit systems, in malls, office buildings, tourist attractions. Cars are checked for bombs when entering some buildings. It's not a huge deal, but it's obviously not pleasant, and it does put a damper on pedestrian traffic.
Every time I try to go in a door, they tell me, no, you can't come in.
Alcohol. You have to buy it at a special store or like a grocery store. They used to sell it in convenience stores, but then they changed the law. The only exception is in Bali. You're allowed to buy it in convenience stores still. Alcohol is also more expensive than most other Southeast Asian countries. Motherfucker. A beer at a bar might be $3 US for a bottle of local beer. Anything imported will be much more expensive though. Indonesia's import tax on alcohol is now sitting at 150%. That means a $20 bottle of alcohol will cost you around $50 in Indonesia. I think when people go to Southeast Asia, especially young people, they go because they want to party. They want to go wild. Woo, let's do some crazy stuff like headbutt somebody. Let's wear bikinis all the time. Drink and party, and they want to wear skimpy outfits and eat pizza with weed on it. Indonesia, or any Muslim country for that matter, is not the best place for this. Got you. It's all part of itchy feet, and I'm always out there hustling, murdering, killing, smashing, you know what I'm saying? It's been announced that in 2025, Indonesia's laws will change and it will be illegal to have premarital sex in the country. Sex before marriage could land you in prison for a year. That's something to note, something pretty crazy to note in my opinion. Homosexuality. I don't know why I made that so dramatic. Homosexuality is not illegal in Indonesia, but it's not something that you can really be open about in Indonesia. And what about gender equality? That's something that we've had to deal with for a while. These women, goddamn, they just keep trying. No. I think this is definitely a concern for a lot of women when traveling to a Muslim country. Sara wasn't really worried about being mistreated, but she did have some concerns about what she could wear. She didn't want to offend anybody. I don't blame her. I certainly hate being told what to wear.
What do you think that outfit says about you?
We're telling you, as two stylists, your clothes look cheap.
Sometimes public transit seating is separated. While we took the bus in Indonesia, I accidentally sat in the section that was just for women. After a few stops, a guy came on and he politely asked me to move. I mean, who's being mistreated because of their gender now? This is so unfair. Just because I'm a man? What did men ever do to women on public transit to deserve this? Generally, we didn't find Indonesia bad at all when it comes to sexism. When we traveled in India, Sara found it super annoying when certain men wouldn't acknowledge her. They would talk to me to find out what she wanted, like I'm her owner or something. Or she would go to pay for something, she'd give them the money, and then they would give me the change, even though I had nothing to do with the purchase. We didn't see any of that in Indonesia, and in fact, gender equality there is actually better than a lot of other Southeast Asian countries. Of course, it's very hard to measure gender equality, but one of the ways people do it is by using the Global Gender Gap Report, which is put out every year by the World Economic Forum. They basically look at various jobs and see what the balance of men versus women is. According to their last report, countries that have a bigger gender gap than Indonesia include Japan, China, and Cambodia. Indonesians are incredibly friendly. I would put them in the top 3 in Ryan's friendliest countries in Southeast Asia power rankings. The people were very warm and welcoming to both Sara and I, so I wouldn't let gender equality scare you off from traveling Indonesia. One of the positives of traveling to Indonesia is the fact that it's so different from other Southeast Asian countries. Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, these countries are primarily Buddhist, while Buddhism in Indonesia is quite surprisingly low.
What percentage of Indonesia is Buddhist?
21.
It's actually only 0.77%.
When travelers backpack Southeast Asia, there's kind of a running joke that you get templed out. It's when you just go to so many wats and temples that you're sick of it and you're done with it. You don't need to see anymore. They all start looking the same. But Indonesia offers beautiful mosques, much different than the temples, wats, and pagodas that you'll see in the Southeast Asian Buddhist countries. They offer a much different history than other countries in Southeast Asia, which have been so heavily influenced by China. In Thailand, 11 to 14% of the population are Thai Chinese. In Indonesia, only 1.2% of Indonesians have roots in China. 95% of Indonesia's population are from native Indonesia ancestry. There are 1,340 recognized ethnic groups in the country. When you dig deep, you will find that Indonesia is a big melting pot of cultures. Javanese are marrying Sundanese, Batawis are marrying Bataks. It's a country where cultures have been mixing for many, many years. The people are very open to it, even when it comes to mixing religion. The largest cathedral in the country is located just across the road from the largest mosque in the country, and the two buildings actually share a parking lot sometimes. In my eyes, this is a pretty strong symbol that Indonesia is a very accepting place. We took a tour in Bandung, and I talked a lot with our guide. He was raised Catholic, but he ended up marrying a Muslim woman, and so he converted. When I asked him about this, he said it doesn't matter what religion you are. We all kind of believe in the same thing. Be kind, treat people how you want to be treated. He said that the sign of the cross, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, to him it's always been just a reminder to think first, then use your heart, and remember what's right and wrong. And whether he's a Christian or a Muslim, that really doesn't change. I can't tell you whether you should travel to Indonesia, but if you do decide to skip it on your backpacking trip through Southeast Asia, or if you decide to just go to Bali, I think you're missing out on a really cool place and a really unique part of Southeast Asia. That's it for me. Take care. Comb your hair. I'm out.
Don't match up, no love.